Hi guys, thanks for coming. I'll answer any questions for you.
Urban,
Beautiful Columbus Day in Ohio.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you just kind of take us through the differences of your first week or so when you got that Florida job, and what was on that roster, and what's on this roster? Kind of compare and contrast the two for me.
Yeah, that's hard because it's so long ago. And, they're two very similar, I think, teams with some talent. I took over for a guy named Ron Zook, who was a very good recruiter, very good football coach, and was able to keep a couple guys on their staff. So the more I haven't thought about it, but I kind of have now that you asked. Here I took over from a very good football coaches, and so I think it's fairly similar.
Urban, what's been the first week like? More progress than you expected, or right on schedule so far?
Right on schedule. I think I can tell one of the challenges I had for Braxton Miller and Kenny Guyton was to throw the ball a little bit. They have not near where we need to be throwing the ball, but much different than what you saw in the spring. Much different. And I saw a team that went out and worked.
After the first week, who's that one guy that has really gotten your attention this week? Where he's come back stronger than you thought he would, or he's popped up and he's going to be a factor?
I think Carlos Hyde. I think Carlos Hyde is a guy that I called it the Wednesday practice. He had a Wednesday practice in spring where it was legit, like a legitimate tailback practice at Ohio State University. Unfortunately, he didn't have a Wednesday, a Monday, Friday, Saturday to follow up the Wednesday practice. But I think we're 8, 9 into it, and he's really solid. I mean, he's the one guy in offense. On defense, the guy that's caught me. A guy named Hale, Joe Hale has done I can't say he's a all Big Ten player yet, but from where he was in the spring to where he is now, you got to give him credit. He came out and worked. The other guy is Christian Bryant. I know Christian Bryant played here, but I didn't see as much as I'm seeing now that I saw in the spring, so he got real busy as well.
In Chicago, you expressed concern about the linebackers compared to what they've been here before. How are they going along, especially Shazier, because it seemed like you felt injury was not a factor with them?
Yeah, great question. And the linebackers, the comment was made just because you look at the last decade, you can arguably say that the greatest set of linebackers in recent history played here at Ohio State. That's kind of what I'd expect, and I didn't see that necessarily last year. This year, but Sabino has had a very good fall camp, a very good spring. Very good spring. Shazier is also having a very good fall camp. Ryan Grant was dealing with some family health issues back home that he's back now, and I'm hearing good things about his grandfather as far as health-wise. But he's the one that's got to keep going. So the guy that is really taking a notice, and he's not a black stripe guy yet, but David Perkins from South Bend. He had a heck of a scrimmage yesterday, and he's a fly and hit guy, which you want. So he's a guy right now that he'll play this year. How much he's still working on that.
You talked in the spring about the growth of the offensive line, and they've gotten to the functional stage. Where are they now in their development, and where are they at to improve?
Well, I apologize. I usually try to list linemen whenever someone asks me that question, but Andrew Norwell is in a most improved category with Carlos Hyde. Him and Marcus Hall have made the most strides, and that's coming mostly from our line coach, but I see it as well. The area that's still up in the air is right tackle. Reed Fragel and Taylor Decker in a battle, and it's not a battle of all Big Tens yet. It's guys that are still learning how. One guy's learning how to play. One guy's a freshman. They're trying hard. They're talented guys. They're great people, but our production at right tackle is not where it needs to be right now.
You mentioned the scrimmage yesterday. Just anything that came out of that, anybody that really stood out, and how it went, just in general, since we didn't get to see it.
I like our quarterbacks. Our quarterbacks, on purpose, they're caged tigers right now. They're not. They get quick whistles. They got black shirts on them. I think that's what they're wearing, green or black shirts, where they're not allowed to be touched. And obviously, in our style of play, that changes the whole game. So we open that cage on September 1st. Up until then, they won't be touched. And we are calling a game with the single wing runs and things we like to do. But our two quarterbacks are kind of doing what we ask them to do. The other name is Nick Vanette. Nick Vanette is one of the most improved players. He falls. Apologize, I wasn't ready for that first question. But Nick Vanette is a guy that he's going to be right in the middle of this thing. And I didn't see that at all in spring. If you noticed, I didn't even bring his name up because he really was not a very functional guy for us. But I love giving credit where credit's due, and that guy got real busy about studying the playbook, learning the game, and Tim Hinton and Nick Vanette have done a nice job.
When you say they're cage tigers, are you making sure that they're not scrambling on passing plays to let some things develop?
Well, we're scrambling, but we're not running. I want them to know we practice our scramble drill a lot where you keep your eyes downfield. But there's also a part of the game that we all know that game, part of the game that where they change it on a man coverage and he hits it. So, yeah, we're really focusing on keeping your eyes downfield, which is a great part of it being a quarterback as well.
Do scramblers need to practice scrambling, or do they? There's just innate. I mean, talk about that.
It's innate, but scrambling is not. Scrambling and running is different than scrambling and keeping your eyes downfield. He's, I think, all great quarterbacks. The pure drop back. Think about it. You can count them on one hand. The pure drop back guys that never scramble, really don't do much. You know, and to me, that's a Peyton Manning. You just see him get it out, and then Tom Brady. And then the other great player at Pittsburgh, he makes plays out of something out of nothing. And so I think the great quarterbacks I want are the ones that make something out of nothing. And these two can do that. And we practice that a lot. Like, for example, in Pascal, that's 7-on-7, just the offensive skill, no D-line or O-line there. And it's about 15, 20 minutes just work on your throwing the ball. If the defense covers you, you're not allowed to run. You're not allowed to burn it, throw it away. Normal situations, you throw it away or you run. We want to have them stay alive, and it also forces your defense to stay on coverage. So to answer your question, Tim, we practice that a lot.
Coach Meyer, you had some very high praise for Kenny Guyton this fall camp, and you've shown a willingness in the past to use two quarterbacks. Has he earned that sort of consideration?
He's not. He's earned a consideration. He's hasn't earned a playing time yet. That's still in process. I wouldn't mind coming up with a little package where they're both on the field at the same time. And, Braxton doesn't know it yet, or does Kenny, but I have it on a piece of paper. And, we'll have that chat probably pretty soon. And I just want to see if they keep developing, because they're both. If they're our best 11, both guys are our best 11. Then it's our job to find a way to get them on the field.
How are the wide receivers coming along?
Much improved. Not Ohio State caliber yet. Effort is much better. Devin Smith is much better than he was in the spring. The guy that got dinged up a little in the spring is Philly Brown, and he's playing at a much higher level. Jake Stoneburner is now, we officially moved him. He's out with the receivers. And who else is doing it? Verlon Reed's still coming. He's a little gimpy from his injury, but he's coming on. Evan Spencer had we were scared there for a minute. He got carted off one day, but it turned out to be just a two-knees hit. And I think he's going to be back, if not tomorrow, the next day. So we have some depth. Michael Thomas has picked up where we left in the spring. So I mean, we got numbers. We just don't. We're still improving as far as quality. And I'm obviously much more optimistic about him now than I was 3 months ago.
So Stoneburner now meets with the receivers, not wide receivers, not the tight ends.
Meets with receivers. He'll practice at times because we'll use him as a surface tight end. But we have two very good tight ends, Harmon and Nick Vanette. So he's going to be our Hernandez type guy, the guy that can do some things.
How are your running backs other than Carlos coming along, Ron Smith, Freshmen?
Good, yeah. Really pleased with them right now. Obviously, number 7 not being there has hurt us a little bit, but we asked them to pick it up. When someone goes down, someone's got to go harder. And so far, Briante, Dunn, and Rod are in a battle for that backup spot. I couldn't tell you right now who it is because they're both they had a good scrimmage yesterday.
You want your team to have a visual swagger if they've earned it. I just remember
Not a big fan of the
Gator
words.
sacking Troy Smith, and they were fairly animated.
I try not to. I don't really believe in that stuff. I believe in team. We have a rule: if you score a touchdown, you better go find a big guy. And it's a real sincere rule. It'll be the last touchdown they score for us. So I'm into the team concept. I do like emotion. I do like passion. We do coach that, encourage it, and celebrate with your teammates. I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah, so if you see what you made reference to, I thought it was more the guys jumping all over each other and showing passion. So absolutely. But I don't like the term. It's not drawing attention to oneself.
That first couple of days, you said to the team about the rah-rah. I don't need all the, or maybe, I don't know if I don't need it, but is that a fine balance?
Well, I'm up for some rah-rah now, because the comment was that you went out in shorts. Think about this. You trained all week, for 3 months in the weight room. You've been screamed at, yelled at, lifting in weights and stretching and running gassers, and you get to go do something you love. in shorts and a t-shirt. So, you know, I want to see him do it now. It was a really good day yesterday as far as emotion and guys flying around, but they'll go through. This will be the hardest week of training camp. Here's an interesting thought that 28, 29 practices for spring, for training camp, and then you have 12 times 2 for the rest of the year. So you have a Tuesday and Wednesday practice for the rest of the season. That's 24 practices. And basically that's maintenance, game planning practices. Your practices 28 to get ready for the first game is all about development. So as a player, you better, I mean, once you start, you're not going to get that much better throughout the fall because you've got 2 practices a week. Does that make sense? So you have 24 practices once the season starts till it ends. And then you got 28 before the first game. So that's where the focus, and they're about ready to hit the 2-a-day, 2-1-2-1-2 coming up. So that's a lot of practices this week. This will make or break us this week.
Urban, you've talked in the past about Rich Rodriguez having some impact on you. How much so did he have maybe early in your career with the spread? And did you talk to him at all about the Big Ten experience he had?
No, Rich is a good friend of mine. Glad he's back in it. I haven't talked to him. He just gets so busy. We're friends, and I think he's one of the best football minds, offensive football minds, and also just a good football coach. He had an impact, probably not as much as, he had an impact early in my career. We were both kind of fed off each other a little bit.
What part of his version of the spread did you kind of take to or press by?
I can't really remember.
The black stripe concept, is that something that you've done other places, and is it strictly the mentor puts the kid up, or do the coaches and the mentor work together to decide this guy's ready to graduate? How does that all come about?
All the above. It all started because of the hazing. You know, hazing used to be, that used to be a problem. They shave your head, they not shave eyebrows, they make you drink, obviously that, I don't hear much about that in college sports anymore, so that's a good thing that's been eliminated. However, there is I think every program should have some kind of way that you can graduate into becoming a full-fledged Ohio State Buckeye. So we started that back at Bowling Green, and you kind of start things, and some things take off, some things don't. This one exploded, and our coaches love it, our staff loves it, most importantly, the players love it, and it's a rite of passage to become Ohio State Buckeye, and you have to earn it. And having your big brother come up and take your stripe off, that's, once again, the guys, it's interesting that just the human element of everything involved, the guys that are so committed, they tear up, and that's a really emotional thing for them. But like anything else, the guys that are maybe just another day, it doesn't mean a whole lot to them. So we have 2 so far. We have Devin Bogart, and we have Noah Spence. Noah Spence got it done right on the field yesterday after the scrimmage.
About the defensive line, you thought that would be a strength on paper, it looks like a strength. How is that playing out so far?
Good. I think it's no question of strength. 54 is as good a player as there is in college football. Hankins, I think you want to make a stronger is Nathan Williams. If he's able to, we're counting on him. He's working so hard. Every time I think I see him over there, you train your whole life. He's a football guy, loves Ohio State, loves his teammates, and here he is just dealing with an injury. So we're doing all we can. I love that. He's a good guy. So we're really pushing it. If he comes back, you're talking about a really strong defensive line. Boy, we're all good. Take them all.
When you see Bradley Roby on video, does he jump out at you, or is he?
No. His first spring practice was no. His first couple of days of spring practice of training camp, no. His last 2, absolutely yes. He jumped all over the place.
And wow, what jumps out at you? I guess.
I think he gets bored. I think he's really talented, and positions aren't great, but we've gotten a lot better in some positions, and so there is a little bit of a challenge out there. There's no challenge. In the spring, he didn't get challenged, and we didn't have time to challenge him because we were either getting sacked or we weren't very good on offense. So right now, you're seeing him challenged, and he answered it. He had a heck of the last 2 days, the day before the scrimmage and the scrimmage. He looked like the way he's supposed to look.
I think backing off Bill's line of questioning a little bit with the defensive line, you obviously put an onus on that when you got here. Always seemed like the biggest difference between this conference and the one you were in previously was on that defensive line. Does this defensive line, specifically if Nathan Williams can come back and be kind of what he was, does this have the making of an SEC big-time defensive line?
Well, I think if you look at 06 team, 08's team, it's as good a defensive lineman. I I would say this group, if that's the measuring stick, if we get Nathan Williams back, I'd say this is in that category. If he doesn't, then I think we'll still be good, but I just think Nathan's brings that much stink to you and also experience.
And do you think that obviously, by what you've done in recruiting and what you've done there, that seems to be where games are turned with that defensive line, and how much emphasis do you put on that in practice and everything else?
It's where it all starts. I mean, if you want to have a bad football team, have a bad D-line. If you want to have average, it can be average in some other spots and kind of hide them, but it's over if you have a bad defensive line. You have no chance.
Have those freshmen that you brought in, have they lived up to what you want them to do?
Yeah, I think you always wish it happened a little faster. I think Noah Spence is probably ahead of him. I probably have to ask Mike Vrabel, but I'd probably say Noah Spence. And then you got Pitt, Adolphus, and Tommy Shutt, the four that came in, and they're all kind of bunched in there, but they all show good signs. I think you're going to see those next three in stripes coming off pretty soon.
Urban, there was a really good piece on you on ESPN earlier this week. It was also very personal. I'm curious what you thought of that piece.
Well, I'm not a person that likes to, I'm not comfortable with that stuff, so I hope it kind of goes away. You know, I think the guy that did it, his name was Ray Thompson. I wasn't going to do it. I didn't want to do it, and I started talking to him, and he did his homework, and I wanted to make sure. If it can help someone else out there, that's the only reason I did it. I don't need that story out there much longer. Every time my kids, I want them to have their own life. They don't need to be known, but it's deeper than that. And I think, hundreds of emails already from people that have dealt with some stuff. So I think if it can help someone, do it. If not, then let's move on. Let's talk about Braxton Miller and the spread offense. But that's why that was done.
Week and a half into camp, are you changed? Are you doing things differently, or are you?
No, I think that's the thing that, no, not at all. I mean, that's not the issues aren't how you coach. It's how when you go home at night and when you in the off season and those type of things. Am I different person? Yeah, grown. Training camp day 8 and training camp day 8. We got a good team. We got to get a team on that field ready to go in 20 days. I think it is, in 18 days. We better be really good.
Something that was implied in that piece, Coach, is that you've kind of evolved in your approach toward discipline. Could you describe that?
Evolved in my coach.
Yeah. Would you say then you've had a constant approach to discipline through all your stops?
I think so. I think you evolve, but that's natural. But I can't say that let's do this different. Let's do this different.
Even as intense as you have to be to be the head coach during training camp, are you still at least conscious of the idea that I still have to find some kind of balance here?
Well, once again, I'd rather talk about some more pressing issues here. I'm good. The family's great. My health is good. And yeah, I think that's an age-old problem that a lot of people deal with. I'm sure it'll come up again. I think there's mechanisms in place to deal with it.
How about that number 3 position?
How does switching to semesters here at Ohio State, does that change how you prepare? Talk a little about that, because in years past, some of these guys wouldn't even have to go to class over
Yeah, it hasn't changed for me because this is all I know. But our players and Luke Fickle and those guys have made a comment to me that it was kind of a big-time advantage. You had your players 24/7. And we had finals. We had 17 guys in the biology class. We had we had some real stuff to take care of. Now it's all over. And by the way, Sabino graduated today. We're really proud of him. And but I'm used to it. The players aren't used to it. So school's going to start here pretty soon. They're used to, I think, mid-September is when it started to pass. So it's more of a change for them. This is all I've ever known, really.
Is it more of a challenge, as a follow-up, is it more of a challenge for the freshmen because they're new to everything about it? Or?
There's no challenge for the freshmen because they don't know better. It's a challenge for the guys that none of us really know. But I haven't seen any resistance, and we're good to go. The guys are going, yeah.
In Chicago, you were talking about finding that number 3, the pivot position. I think you even mentioned Najee Murray as being that, I don't know. How's that search going? Are there still weighing some options?
Average, and we have not tried Najee because he might be a guy on defense as well. So, yeah.
Coach, how was that?
But the next few days.
But who is there anybody stepped up there that you?
Yeah, Philly's done a good job. I'm hoping Philly can do that. Chris Fields has done decent. Jake Snowburn his own way. It's not him. It's not exactly what you want, but he's So it's gonna be probably a lot different looking than it looked at the other place.
I was gonna say, Coach Herman indicated Philly would be almost like that position light a little bit. You wouldn't want to run him inside a lot and things like, I mean,
That's hard to find that guy.
Yeah.
Without finding out, it's really hard to find a guy that can do this and also do this.
Could you hand it to Jake? I mean, could he be an option as a runner?
As of right now, no, but see how it goes.
Two more questions, folks.
Is Verlon the guy who can do that?
Verlon's strictly Michael Thomas, Verlon, they're the body types, they're the long strider. It takes him a second to get the, same with Devin Smith, he's more of a, that, you need a,
Jordan Hall's injury, coach, how's that progressing?
above, ahead of schedule, he's still in the boot though, he's a wonderful, wonderful young man that, I keep bragging about his 3.0, and I'm expecting a 3.0 again. So that's for all of those, you counting, that's 3.0s, I hope. But he's done everything we asked of him, so, and he's got a big smile on his face, he's ready to go as soon as they give him the approval.
As important as this time period is, how do you deal with the team done guys? Can you project what they would have done, or how do you deal with it?
It's the same thing that everyone's dealing with, and it's, you try to, once you get dinged, you're asking about injuries?
Yeah.
Yeah, you find out immediately where your depth issues are, and then you try to get the twos ready, and then you, like with a guy like Jordan Hall, I have a calendar ready in my mind and on paper, and Nathan Williams, those are the two guys off the top of my head that we have a plan on paper when we anticipate their return. And we understand we have to bite the bullet until then, doing some other things that we maybe want to do when we got those two.
I'm sure you're aware Honey Badger is gone from LSU. Do you bring things like that up to your team as examples? And have you done that? I mean, of what can go wrong if, talk to me.
And I'm not being, probably 1,000 times since January, because it's just, you sit there and you're like, it's not just him, there's a whole slew of great players that aren't playing college football.
Right.
And I'm not saying about Tyrone. But to answer your question, I'd probably say a minimum of several times a day, something is brought up about that, because it's such a fragile, it's a fragile time for 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, if you could just hang here for 1 second, I just want to talk